I have a question for you that I think I already know the answer to, but I'd be curious, and I want the audience to really pay attention here. How many hours per day would you say you spend complaining about how life is unfair?
Well, actually, nothing.
Oh yeah, it's zero for sure. I knew your answer would be zero. You're not the type of person to sit back and just complain about how life sucks. You're the type of person that if you look at a situation and you're unhappy, you will go change it. That's who you are. What's going on, everybody? I have an incredible episode for you today because all the way from Australia, I have Invest with Qeenie coming on the channel. So after you watch this video, make sure to head over to her channel, Invest with Qeenie, and subscribe. She has a ton of great content about stocks and investing. And this woman, I love this woman. She's incredible. She went from earning $400 per week all the way up to making six figures. And now she has close to $300,000 in the bank, and she's only 24. So you guys are in for a real treat. Make sure to subscribe to Invest with Qeenie. What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome back to my show. Today I have a super exciting episode for you because I have all the way from Australia Investing with Qeenie on today, and she is an expert when it comes to investing and personal finance. And she has an incredible story, and I really wanted to bring her on the channel to talk to all of you guys about the possibilities out there. So welcome, Qeenie.
Thank you so much for having me on the channel. It's been so great to chat to you and meet you. It's just amazing how, even though we're in two completely different parts of the world, we still get to meet and talk to each other. I think it's really cool.
Absolutely. Well, and if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong about this, but today in the United States for me, it's Thursday. Is it Friday for you right now?
Yeah, so we're in the future.
Yes.
It's actually what is it? It's 9 a.m. in the morning on Friday.
Wow. Okay. And it's Thursday afternoon for me. So literally time traveling. We went through time and space to be able to do this collab. So glad to have you here. But to anyone out there, or to everyone out there, I wanted to bring Qeenie on. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you started your personal finance journey at the ripe old age of 19. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I was 19. I was on just $400 a week, and life was really hard. I think that you kind of have to go through those tough times with money, I think, in order to realize what you want. And that was that for me. I think being on just $400 a week, it was barely enough to pay for my rent and my groceries. And from that experience, it really made me want to do better and be able to earn more and not have to worry about money. So yeah, That's my story.
Wow. So you're 19, you're making $400 a week. What was sort of the turning point for you? Or, did you get a second job, or what happened to make you go on this path?
Yeah, so at the time I was working two part-time jobs. One was an unpaid internship. One was a telemarketing role. And then I was also studying at uni full-time, and I was just working so much. I had no spare time. Any spare time I had, I would be studying, and the times that I weren't studying, I would be working, and I was on bad money, not enough money. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so what happened was, I think it was my trip I went to Bali. I scrapped together some money. I bought a plane ticket. I went to Bali. I don't even know how I did that on $400 a week. And after that experience, it was a really bad holiday because I just couldn't afford to do anything. And I was just there, and I just had no money, and I got food poisoning. And I was oh no, now I have to pay for a doctor, and I can't afford a doctor. And yeah, so after that experience, I was just yeah, I don't want to be living like this forever, and it's too hard. So I took a risk. I dropped out of university because I was already working in marketing, and I was doing pretty well. I was getting good at it. Mm-hmm. And I was I just don't know if I can keep up with my uni and also working. So I made that decision. I dropped out, and ever since I dropped out, I guess I didn't want it to be a mistake. Mm-hmm. So I worked really hard in my jobs, and I was still able to scale up to a six-figure income pretty quickly in marketing, just learning things by myself. And thankfully, looking back, dropping out of university wasn't a mistake for me.
That's amazing. What I think is incredible is we have a very similar story in that I also dropped out of college, and pretty quickly after dropping out, I was making six figures. It wasn't in marketing, but it was in sales. So I know sometimes marketing and sales butt heads a little bit.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, but that's so incredible. So, and now tell me about, okay, so you're really big into investing and just sort of building different revenue streams and, the whole FIRE movement, being able to retire early. Where did that come from? And do you have any tips to people that are looking at investing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the whole passion for personal finance came from just reading books about it and realizing that, yeah, there are people out there that are able to save a lot of their money and invest it in other places and make passive income and things like that. And it actually is possible. Once I started, I guess, doing things for myself, like investing, seeing my money grow, I realized that, yeah, this is actually a viable option, this is something you can do if you really do put your mind to it. So now I'm on that journey to hopefully reach financial freedom one day and not have to stress about money, not have to work on things that I don't want to work on, and only do the projects that excite me. And I'm hoping to, I guess, share my journey with other people as well and share the things that I've learned. So yeah, that's the goal.
That is so badass. In fact, we might have to get you certified. You might have to become a certified badass and join the
I
crew.
love that plate. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, everybody makes fun of me for it, but whatever. But that's okay. So this is incredible because I think there's this idea right now that if people have money or are successful or are living a full life, whatever you want to call it, whatever success means to you, they either got incredibly lucky or they inherited all their money or they're, from privilege. And here you are, a young woman making $400 per week. You figure out that's not what you want your life to be about. You hustle, you grind because you have to, and you make six figures in a pretty, short amount of time because you're still pretty young, right? Are you in your 20s right now?
Yeah, I'm 24.
That's incredible. I'm 28, so I got a few years on you, but you're 24, and I know I've been watching your channel lately. You put out a video recently about how you invested your way to a net worth of over $200,000. That's incredible. Tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. So I guess it started back when I was 19
Mm-hmm.
and I was struggling, and then I started to slowly increase my income. I made my first investment of $5,000 in a robot advisor. So I think you have them in the US as well.
We do.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I invested in a robot advisor because I just had no idea what I was doing. And that was a really cool experience because I was really nervous about it. And then after a couple of months, I checked the balance and my money had grown. And it just made me so excited about the prospect of it. But then from there, obviously, I was checking a bit and I was like, maybe there are ways that I can increase this return on investment even more by, say, perhaps investing myself into what this robot advisor is investing in. At the time, it was mainly ETFs. So there was iShares, there was Vanguard. So I started to invest myself and
Mm-hmm.
I saw that I was getting a good return on investment. And then from there, I just started really immersing myself in all of the books out there about it. Really learning about picking individual stocks and businesses, and obviously working in marketing. I know a lot about all the different tech companies and Facebook and things like that. So being able to invest in companies that I actually am a customer of, or companies that I actually use in my everyday life in marketing, was so cool. It was even though I'm not obviously a big shareholder of Facebook or whatever, it's cool being able to know a little bit more about Facebook and how they make money, being able to learn a bit more about Apple and things like that. And yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, well, I think that's incredible because there are so many people, probably most people that are alive today own an iPhone, but they don't own Apple stock. Or
Yeah,
they'll use Facebook every single day, but they don't own Facebook stock. So I think it's just switching the mindset. And for you, you had this moment where you made an investment, you checked the balance a little bit later, it grew, so you made money without having to work.
exactly.
Yeah, and what did that? That for me, the first time where I made an investment and without having to put in time or energy, except for doing the research on that initial investment, and I woke up and there was more money, I was like, this is magic.
Yeah, I
Did you
know.
have a
It
similar
is.
experience there?
Yes, I had the same experience. I was just like, oh my gosh, imagine if I invested at the time it was just $5,000, but I was like, imagine if I had $100,000, like then I would have made this much money. Did you ever do that as well? You're like,
Oh yeah.
oh, if only I invested this much money. And that's really cool because you're able to see that your time, the amount of time that you put into your work doesn't equal the amount of money that you get back. And once you can realize that you can make money without having to spend heaps of time on it, it's really powerful. It's like there's really no limit to, how much money you can make.
Absolutely, because you are limited on time. We all only have 24 hours in a day. You're probably not going to work all 24 of those hours, so you have to find other means. So I have a couple of questions for you before we wrap up here. What would you say? I think your story is so unique, and we live in such an interesting time right now that a lot of people don't think that they could succeed because of certain things that hold them back. So do you have any advice to other young women specifically who might be thinking, they want to go out and they want to hustle, but they don't think they can do it, or they don't think they can compete, and they're just they don't think that they can make it? What would you say to those young women?
Oh, I love that. And I love how it's also targeted to young women as well. Because, yeah, I think that the power is really in your hands as a young person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are young, you have time on your hands, like the compounding effect of compound interest, or if you're looking into real estate, it's really massive. So it's really about the earlier that you start, the more returns you can get in the long term. And I also think about that mindset as well when it comes to, I can't do it, I can't get ahead. It's about flipping that mindset, and instead of thinking, I guess, a fixed mindset, like, oh, I only have the skills that I have now and I'll never be able to progress. It's about flipping that mindset into more of a growth mindset. So if you see other people doing well, instead of thinking like, oh, they must have X, Y, Z, or, oh, the reason they're successful is because they have all these things that I don't have. Instead of thinking like that, which can be really unproductive, and I think like that sometimes as well, it's about flipping that mindset to, what can I learn from these people? Like, this person's doing well. Why are they doing well? What can I do better? What can I learn from them? And I think that that is so powerful, because even if you're able to improve yourself by just a tiny, tiny bit, like, that's so powerful. And those changes also compound over time, like compound interest. So if there's anything that you can take away from this interview, I think it's just work on yourself, improve yourself, and start investing as early as possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will, I have a question for you that I think I already know the answer to, but I'd be curious, and I want the audience to really pay attention here. How many hours per day would you say you spend complaining about how life is unfair?
Well, actually nothing, like it's always
Yes.
about like, it's always about thinking about ways that I can do better, and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about ways that will make myself more productive, like you're not going to get better by complaining about your situation, by wishing you had something. It's all about like making those moves to where you want to be. What about you?
Oh yeah, it's zero for sure. I knew your answer would be zero. You're not the type of person to sit back and just complain about how life sucks. You're the type of person that if you look at a situation and you're unhappy, you will go change it. That's who you are. So we'll wrap up here. I love having you on. I think you're incredible. You're doing great. And I'll have one last question for you. So you're 24. You got 200 grand in the bank. You're making six figures. What is next for you?
Yeah, good question. So obviously I started this YouTube channel and
Mm-hmm.
super, super passionate about helping other people. I guess I wanted to do that on a bigger scale. That's what I want to really do more of in the future. It's honestly the most fun I've ever had in my life working on this
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel, and I want to be able to do more of that. And eventually one day I want to, okay, it sounds really crazy, but I want to start like some sort of like radical business. I realized in the personal finance space, there's so many different avenues we could go down. So I was thinking like, I could really do anything, like maybe a fintech startup or something like that. Or maybe like courses. I don't know. Really, the possibilities are endless, but I would love to do something super ambitious, super like maybe hard, but something that will be really rewarding for the future.
Absolutely. I think that is beautiful, and I have no doubt in my mind you'll get there. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and everybody, make sure to go check out your Queenie's channel, Investing with Queenie. I will make sure to link it in the description of this video. I'll also put it in the comment section. And it was a pleasure meeting you, and I wish you all the best. I know you're going to kill it, and thank you again for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been so great to chat to you, and likewise with you. Like, you are absolutely killing it, and I'm sure you'll achieve all of your goals.
Thank you. All right, take it easy. See you next time.
Thank you. See ya.